This isn't just a tip, it's a warning. Because what I'm about to reveal doesn't merely sharpen your thinking. It starts to peel away what makes you feel normal. You'll begin thinking 3 steps ahead. You'll stop trusting people. And maybe you'll even begin to use them. This brain hack doesn't just give you power, it makes you dangerous. And once you cross that threshold, there's no coming back. You won't ever be the same. Before we get into it, I've broken this video into 3 clear sections so you'll know exactly what's ahead. First, we'll unpack the brain hack itself, what it is, how it works, and why it's stronger than most people assume. Second, we'll dive into its shadow side, the part no one ever brings up, where strategy crosses into manipulation and influence becomes control. Finally, we'll break down how to master it, for power, for defense, and to ensure you're the one pulling the strings, not the one tangled in them. Part 1. The brain hack, metacognition. Let me introduce a brain function that only a rare few consciously engage. It's called metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. Sounds a bit abstract, so let's make it real. Most people stay stuck in what's called level 1 thinking. They feel something and instantly react. Anger? They shout. Nervous? They back away. Confident? They speak. But a mastermind moves on level 2. They don't just feel, they observe themselves feeling. They don't simply act, they question it. Why do I want to respond this way? Is this emotion helping or harming me? What happens 3 moves from now if I say this? This is what separates the chess player from the pawn, the played from the player. Let's give this more weight by breaking it into 3 core metacognitive skills. Emotional labeling. This is where emotional intelligence actually starts, not with controlling your emotions, but with recognizing them. Most people are stuck on emotional autopilot. They feel a wave of anxiety, shame, or anger, and they react. No pause, no processing. Just action, often action they regret. But a metacognitive thinker does something else. They take a step back. They notice the emotion instead of getting swallowed by it. They don't just ask, what am I feeling? They ask why, and even more importantly, is that the real emotion? Let's dig in. Most people say, I'm angry, but that's just surface. It's like seeing smoke and assuming you know where the fire is. The metacognitive mind goes deeper. Am I really angry or embarrassed and defending my ego? Am I upset because something went wrong, or because I feel helpless and out of control? Am I mad at this person, or am I just tired, hungry, or anxious about something else? This may seem small, but it's the beginning of all self-control. Because when you correctly name the emotion, you create a pause. And inside that pause is power. You're no longer just reacting. You're choosing. Why it matters. You avoid regretful outbursts. When you name the emotion, you stop the snap reaction before it erupts. You stay calm under pressure. Even just saying, I feel overwhelmed, activates your logical brain and weakens emotional grip. You understand others better. Once you practice labeling on yourself, you start spotting what others are really feeling. 2. Quick drill, label in layers. When a strong emotion hits, ask, 1. What am I feeling right now? 2. What triggered this? 3. Is this a true emotion or is something deeper at play? 4. What unmet need or belief is fueling this emotion? Do this even for 30 seconds a day. You'll be shocked how much more control you gain. Unlabeled emotions own you. Label ones serve you. This is your first move as a mastermind, awareness before action. Your thoughts aren't just noise in the background. They're the scripts your brain follows. If you don't pay attention, your mind will start building a life around beliefs that weren't even yours to begin with. They were absorbed, inherited, or installed. That's why thought tracking is crucial. Most people don't think they're thoughts. They receive them, like mental notifications they forgot to mute. I'm not good enough. This will never work. They probably don't like me. Why even try? Worst of all, they don't question them. They just believe, if I'm thinking it, it must be true. But here's the metacognitive truth. Not every thought is yours. Not every thought is true. And not every thought deserves your attention. How it works. Thought tracking is like setting up security cameras in your mind. You don't let random thoughts waltz in and rearrange your mental furniture. You pause, especially when emotions spike, and ask, what thought am I having right now? Then you shine a light on it. Is this thought helpful or harmful? Even if it feels real, is it useful? Is this fear or fact? Fear-based thoughts are emotional, repetitive, exaggerated. Fact-based ones are neutral, steady, clear. Example, a thought hits, I'm not good enough for this. Most people absorb it without noticing. But a mastermind pauses. Where did that come from? Did someone say this to me years ago? Is this fear talking or failure? What actual proof do I have that I can't do this? That single moment of inquiry breaks the loop. It stops the spiral. You stop being the thought and start choosing what to do with it. Bonus tip, thought journal. At the end of each day, write down one negative thought you noticed. Then ask, where did this come from? What evidence supports it? What truth contradicts it? What new belief will I choose instead? Do this consistently, and your brain rewires. You stop being led by fear and start living by intention. Strategic observation. Most people walk into conversations blind. They hear words but miss meaning. They react to tone but ignore intention. They see a smile but miss the crack beneath it. A metacognitive mind does more than engage. It observes. This is called strategic observation. When you split your awareness into two tracks. Track 1, you're actively talking, listening, expressing. Track 2, you're silently watching the interaction like a game board. This is where the real game starts. What you begin to notice. Micro-reactions, the subtle flick of an eye, a clenched jaw, a twitch in the corner of a mouth. Pauses before someone speaks, shifts in tone, signs of doubt, deception, or inner tension. Power cues, who's interrupting, mirroring, leaning in, or backing off. Emotional triggers, overreactions that reveal hidden wounds or beliefs. Inauthentic signals, fake smiles, forced laughter, over-explaining. All signs of discomfort, guilt, or overcompensation. Why does this work? Because your brain has something called theory of mind, the ability to simulate other people's thoughts and feelings. Most only use it subconsciously. They sense something is off, but don't know why. Metacognition upgrades that instinct into a weapon. You start to see patterns before they trap you. You see people, not how they seem, but who they really are. Example, you're in a meeting. Someone laughs a little too loudly at your idea. Most people either laugh along or shrink away. But a strategic observer thinks, that wasn't about the joke. That was a dominance move. So instead of reacting, you pivot. You redirect attention. You raise your perceived value without ever playing their game. Here's the twist. This is exactly how manipulators operate. They read your face. They test your emotions. They map your reactions like a scientist mapping circuits. But with the same awareness, you can disarm them, or you can become them. Because strategic observation is neutral. It can be used to protect, guide, connect, or to control, deceive, and dominate. That's where the line between mastermind and monster begins to blur. Your daily drill, silent observation. Next time you're in a conversation, do this. While speaking, ask, are they responding to my words or my energy? While listening, wonder, what are they not saying? After you leave, reflect, who had the power? Who gave it away? The more you do this, the less random life feels. Every interaction becomes a strategy room. Most walk into conversations hoping to be understood. Masterminds walk in understanding the battlefield. So ask yourself, am I watching the room, or is the room watching me? Am I playing the game, or being played by it? Because in the next section, we step deeper into the shadows, where this tool becomes a weapon, where awareness, once used for growth, gets used for control. Are you ready to meet the monster? When a manipulator uses metacognition, they analyze emotions like tools. They study you, your reactions, your insecurities, your deepest fears. Then they do one of three things. Exploit it, make you feel worthless so you rely on them for validation. Exaggerate it, trigger your worst fears so you stay paralyzed and obedient. Mirror it, pretend to feel what you feel so you think they understand you. It's terrifyingly effective. Example, a toxic partner might say, "No one else would ever understand you the way I do." Translation, "You're too damaged for anyone else to love. Stay here where I can control you." It feels like comfort, but it's really a cage. And that's the monster's genius. They trap you with your own emotions, thought inception, planting ideas in people's minds without them realizing it. You've seen it in politics, advertising, even relationships, but you probably didn't recognize it. That's the point. Instead of telling you what to do, the manipulator guides your thinking until you believe it was your idea all along. They use subtle cues, loaded questions, and repetition to install ideas. Example, instead of saying, "You should break up with your friend," they say, "It's crazy how often people stay friends with someone who doesn't really support them. I can never do that, but hey, everyone's different." It plants a seed. When that seed blooms, you water it, thinking it was your own. They don't control your body. They hijack your mind. Controlled silence and timid responses, using silence to create psychological pressure. One of the most underestimated tactics is calculated silence. In the hands of a monster, silence isn't absence, it's presence. A presence that makes you feel unsure, guilty, exposed. They delay text responses just long enough to make you anxious. They stare without replying just long enough to make you second-guess yourself. They speak slowly with long pauses, forcing you to fill the silence and reveal more. Example, you confess something personal. They go quiet. Just look at you. You start rambling, apologizing. Now they flip the power, and they haven't said a word. Sometimes, the most powerful move is saying nothing at all. Emotional conditioning, rewarding and punishing behavior to create control loops. Monsters don't just manipulate moments. They program patterns. They praise you when you obey, withdraw when you question, give affection in small, addictive doses. It creates emotional highs and lows that feel like love, but are actually control. It's the same tactic used in cults, toxic relationships, and psychological abuse. Example, you disagree with them. Suddenly, they're cold. You apologize, they're warm again. Next time, you stay quiet. They didn't need to punish you. You punish yourself. Strategic vulnerability, pretending to be weak to disarm and manipulate. Here's the twisted part. Not all monsters look powerful. Some with the mask of a victim. They overshare emotional stories to build trust, act helpless to gain support, say things like, "No one's ever cared about me," so you feel obligated to prove them wrong. But it's a trap. They're collecting emotional debt, making you responsible for their feelings. Example, you finally stand up for yourself. They say, "I can't believe you'd hurt me like this after everything I shared." Now you're the villain, and they're still pulling the strings. So you see, metacognition isn't good or evil. It's awareness. But awareness, when paired with ego, pain, or power, creates monsters who walk among us in plain sight. Some wear suits. Some wear smiles. Some say they love you. So ask yourself, do you really know who's behind the mask? And more importantly, do you know who you become when no one's watching?